Let me open up.
Welcome to the International Webinar Series, Winnie. Thanks for your time to read the short story and to be reviewing it. Appreciate your efforts, and let's hear what you have to say about the Peacock Feather Fan.
Okay, so I enjoyed it a lot. It was very informative, and I just love how you write and describe the scene and area. It was very, like, I could close my eyes and I could feel I was in there, immersed.
Lovely.
And even how you written your characters were they felt very personal and in the moment. I love that, I could understand this family and I could just see this family as they're traveling, on the bus on their way to go shopping. It felt very in tune with everyday life, and something as common as just taking a bus ride and seeing all the different people that are on on the bus and how they are experiencing life, and especially different people of different backgrounds, so immigrants and of different cultures, of different languages. And that really, I think, intrigued me the most, was how you were able to interpret those different people and their experiences in such a unique and short way, from the immigrant workers who, they're just trying to find their way through the city, to the Chinese man who was grabbing the wrong things at the market and having to travel all the way back, just showing, even though they come from different backgrounds, they're all people, and everyone experiences this. I've experienced grabbing the wrong things at the store, leaving something behind. These are universal experiences that everyone of every culture, has had or has seen before. And of course, Connie, him just being the child and that symbol of innocence that children have, and they don't have that bias towards people. They haven't created it. They're just people, him learning the Bengal language, and just trying to help because he's like, oh, I understand what he's saying. And I know he needs money and needs to find his way. It really does show that children are the purest form of humanity, because they haven't been taught to be biased. They haven't been taught to look at someone and think they're smelly, or wonder why they're in the country, or they enjoy lower wages. They don't know what that is. They just know a human needs help. Another person needs help finding their way. And I really do love how you were able to interpret that. I've read other stories where it is hard to write children, and especially to harness that innocence of a child. So I truly do appreciate that. And I have so much notes of just your descriptive storytelling that really sets the scene and I'm like, oh, I want to go take a bus right now. I want
to come to Singapore.
Yes. See all the beautiful nature and the trees, and smell everything and hear all the different languages. It just felt such immersive and interactive with the reader, and what was happening and how I could see what was happening and understand. Even though everyone was speaking different languages, you could still understand that this was a bustling city and very vibrant and active. And excuse me, I truly did enjoy that the most. And of course, just the parents talking and communicating with their son, and seeing that even though he's living in a world that can be very biased, his parents aren't enabling that for him. His dad could have obviously looked at the man and saw his son was giving him $10 and, oh, no, bring it back. But no, he let him. You show these characters as their own, and again, such a short and simple time that you're able to flesh out these characters, and the mom and dad and the son, and, give them a story and give them time to really breathe as their own. Give them interest, give them talking points, show these loving parents who, just want to keep their son safe and have him still explore and look at bugs and insects. And, I just think that's a very amazing thing that you're able to do in such a short period. That I know it's hard for some people, but you're really able to lay down a story and characters that had backgrounds and meanings to them, which I found impeccable. Also, I did have some questions I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
Let me see if they'll pop up. Yeah, so one of them, you had written, the stout Chinese man placed the bags purposely on the adjacent seat so the foreign workers boarding wouldn't be able to occupy the seat near him, which, was very, I wrote that it was a very telling of today's climate, and it felt from a personal point of view. Could you talk more about like what inspired you to write about, this adversity between diverse groups?
Singapore, you should know about Singapore. It's very diverse. Singapore was formed by migrants, and it is still growing because of the migrants. It's formed because of the migrants, and most of us are migrants here, and they may be short period or long period. All of us are migrants and from various countries. And here, the locals are so embracing most of the times, I would say. But there are people who are nasty towards migrants. And this Chinese man is just representing that small percentage who are biased against the migrants. So when I'm talking about diversity in this short story, Beyond Borders, when I welcomed you, I thought it was, I got confused. A peacock feather fan. It's not your story. It's yours is Beyond Borders. So in Beyond Borders, the diversity is what I wanted to convey to the readers. And this Chinese guy, his small gesture is representing that minority who are biased against immigrants.
Yeah, I felt that because, again, like you said, it is a small gesture, something that when you're on the bus, you're not even noticing really, someone just putting their bag down. But where he put it was strategic, so no one could sit next to him. And if anyone else is passing by, it just looks like a man putting his bags down as he's sitting on the bus.
I have also seen other passengers who they will please put your bags down. I have to sit. They have the right to. In a public transport, any person can do that, and they have to remove the bag from the seat. But again, such biased people, definitely they will look at the person who's asking for the seat, and they may also again show a resentment in on their face. But if they are okay with the person, they will not show that. They will just give up the seat. So all these things happen, and I'm sure in a diverse place as America, USA, you must have seen many such things, bias against migrants or minorities. And one of the reasons I gave you this particular story is because I was sure that you would be able to connect to that diversity where everything is possible. Compassion is possible. Everything is there. It's a mixed bag. It's never black or white. It's so many gray shades, right? For example, Kani is still unconditional in the mind. He's an innocent guy. And that innocence is what is making him observe the insect so keenly. He's not bothered about what's going on everywhere around. He was only focusing on the insect, but also heard that a new language that he has been learning, that Bangladesh guy, what he was talking, he was able to understand. So through that diversity, through that journey, I was able to weave that another layer of that innocence and character. So it had no proper, as in not proper ending as it is. It was just you know, he said he still he looks at the insect on the bag of that migrant worker.
Yes.
Eureka! He knows which species, which subspecies it is. He's able to. So that's all he likes to think about. He doesn't want to even think about. I gave him some money. He's not having all that in mind. So that innocence, yes, you're right. It's not easy to bring that out. So any questions, you can ask any number of questions. I'm ready to discuss. Anything else that you left out, you're also free to express.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I saw that as you're going through again, just the conversation between the mother and father, you know,
Yes.
they're back and forth.
Yes.
It felt very natural, and they did have like some points where they were speaking at it stood out to me. One I want to dive in is when let me try to say Samu.
Somo.
Okay.
Somo. Yeah.
Okay. Had said, don't tell me that the only crowded bus rides are real life. And you know, the wife responds saying, not exactly, but in a way, yes. I want to dive more into that of why you thought, you know, that analogy that a crowded bus ride is like real life.
Well, for example, a child who's well protected all the time, you know, kept within the house or within the car, not exposed to other experiences, right?
Yes.
uh, will not get any exposure that how the outside world is. Maybe this kind of a boy, because it's diverse here in Singapore, once he gets out of the car till the bus or in school, right? In school also,
Yes.
he will see that diversity. But in a bus, all people are from different walks of life and different ages, different social status or financial status, and education, race, so ethnicity, right? So that kind of a bus ride is, I thought, because I love observing. I love observing when I board the bus, I travel, even in train. I put in my mobile. I don't open my mobile to. I look around, watch, and my ears get sharp. Who's talking on the phone or with each other, whatever. I mean, from there I picked so much, and I think for a writer like me, that observation is very important because I have to create many characters. So it came with some sort of you know, deliberate attempts that turned out to be a habit later on, right? But for a young child, unless we let them experience that kind of a bus journey where it's everything. And again, the parents, they try here. Kani is only focusing on the insect in the end. And he's also only hearing that guy's whatever he was talking. So the parents also, although they are creating the atmosphere for him to get exposed to many diversity, they are not forcing him to do. Don't look at the insect, look at the people around. They're not doing that. And I think that's healthy, right? That's how it should be. He knows, he will know what to look for. And as he grows up, 9 or 10 years old, that's all he is. as he grows up, he will also start looking at people, their way of talking, their way of behaving. And of course, he is going to learn as many good things as the bad things,
Yes.
because the world is like that. It has both. But again, we can't avoid, or we can't keep the children cocooned inside to protect them from all the disparities, or biases that the society always has towards something or the other. It's either ethnic diversity because of that, or anything, sexual orientation, or skin color, whatever it is, right? We can't protect them so much that we keep them away from those things, thinking that they are negative. They are, yes, but the world has all that. And the child has to know it's all there, out there. If he's not knowing, he's going to suffer. That is also
Yes,
there.
I
So
agree.
we have to expose them to both positive and the negative, as it is, not say influence their thinking, and right. So that's, and a bus and the ride is a metaphor for the world and the journey, right? And
Yes.
so it fell that way in the story. Yeah.
I also responded to how, as you're talking, the bus is representative of the world. I was
Yes.
thinking how, again, the wife, they have a car, but
Yes.
it's in the shop right now.
Yes.
And that could also be seen as that's the sheltering of the child. Because
Yes.
if he's with his parents in the car driving everywhere, he's not experiencing the world. He's only
Yes.
looking it through a
Yes.
tinted glass.
Yes.
So even though
Correct.
I feel like how you wrote was so intentional to just add in those small snippets of,
Yes.
well, this if he was always in a car ride, that's him sheltered from the world. He's not
Yes.
right seeing it. He's
Yes.
only seeing it through what lens,
Yes.
it's in the car. And we all
Yes.
know car rides, especially long ones. Children are bored, they're not paying attention, he's not really seeing many bugs in a car, so he's probably maybe
Yeah.
asleep.
Yeah,
So
of course.
for again, that way of situational forcing us to see the world. The car's in the shop, so it's forcing them to take the bus to see the world, for the Connie to see the world. I think that was very smart how you were able to add that in as a way of like, well, this is what could have happened. We could have never got this bus ride if he was always sheltered in the car driving with his parents. But situations happen that force us to see the world, and I think that was very interesting.
Yes.
And brilliant how you were able to write that in.
Thank you. It comes with,
Welcome.
I'm writing for 28 years, right? Of course,
Yeah.
anyone will be able to write that smartly. It comes with practice, years and years of 28. I'm writing more than, I think, your age. You're younger than
Yes.
that. 28 years I'm writing, VD. You're younger than my younger son. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it comes with practice, yes, and passionate practice, yes.
And I could truly feel that as reading. I could feel the words, and again, you wrote so eloquently and such beautifully. It was like a poem to me,
Oh
how you were
dear,
describing things.
so
It
sweet.
was so, like, even at the end, with all kindness, Connie softly said and slowly, just words, how it just bounced. They felt they had a bounciness to it, a flow as you wrote. Um, Also, again, I talked about, again, Connie's kindness, which again is different from innocence. You can be innocent but still be unkind to people.
Yes,
And I
you're
think
right.
that
Yes.
Connie, even though he is innocent, we also do see he is a kind child.
Yes.
Which I think was interesting as well, because again, for most of this, we've only seen him as an observant child. So to see that also, not only is he observant and innocent, he's also kind. And I think that is also what was needed. to really pull in the point, you know, we're not only seeing him just be a participant of the world, he's being an active participant, and how he's being active is through kindness. You know, again, he could have saw the man who was struggling, understood him, and said, okay, well, let's go to the Indian market and go get what we need to get and go home. You know, but he stopped and he asked his dad, hey, can I get some money to help this man?
Because he needed to top up the travel card. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And again, he was observing. He could have heard the man needing the card and, you know, kept going with his parents. And even the part where you say he softly tries to pull his parents away to keep walking so they don't look back. Again, another just small hint of his kindness to the world and how he's starting to already view it with such a kind, you know, I think was very interesting. And wanted to ask more about that. Like, how were you able to see, like, why did you feel that you needed to add in those snippets of Connie showing kindness, even though we already had been represented as an observant and innocent child? Why did you think it was also important to add in that he was a kind child as well?
Because I think all human beings, when they are born, they are all clean, right? They have no impressions yet. And by nature, we are not cruel. We're all kind, actually. It's the circumstance, everything, the impressions, upbringing, and the parents living by examples, like unknowingly they sometimes live as bad examples, also happens in life, right? But here, Kani is so much focused on that tiny living creature. That itself is giving us the innocence of a child, and he's naturally interested in insects. That is all okay. But the very fact that he's able to observe that insect so keenly can show us one thing. Naturally, he is kind. And he doesn't even know he's naturally kind, which you can find in the end. He's doing something, and this much he knows, that if the parents look back, the guy might feel embarrassed. That much he knows. Other than that, he doesn't know much, that he has actually helped him in an important situation where his card needs top up. And he pulls them, and he turns, and even then he's not looking at the guy's face, whether is he turning back to look at me. He's not bothered to look at all that, because he caught sight of that insect, and that's all. He's so excited. That's all, and the story ends, right? And is it ending? You can ask. The story might go in another direction for the migrant worker. We don't know. It continues there. And here, for the parents, are they going to shop as planned, or is it going to be something else? We don't know. It can continue. And is Kani going to enjoy that shopping? Is he going to? Or is he going to again get some other small tiny living creature there for him to observe as they shop, in the for the items? We don't know. That can happen. So that there are three lines of three paths that the story can take. So it's an open-ended. It's not like it's happily ever after, right? So, yeah. So then, yeah, super reading, Winnie. Thank you for reading so well.
Thank you. Thank you for, opening to your reading. It was, again, I enjoyed this thoroughly. I did read it a couple times to really, I know you told me to don't get too intellectual with it, and don't start putting on the thinking cap, but it was such a pleasant read, and really just I call it like a slice of life, you know, just an everyday observance. And truly on the bus, you could have wrote from everyone's perspective. You could have wrote from the perspective of the workers, from the bus driver who always sees these different people, from the Chinese man. So there's so many stories that could have been written from just this one bus. And I thought that was so interesting too. And even like you said, at the end, it was an open ending because we don't really get to see the parents' reaction to Connie's kindness. So even that is, you know, it can be taken further to see how do they react? Do they ask him, why did you, you know, give him the money, or why, or don't do that again? Or, you know, there's so much that could be layered into that.
Or something like the parents are proud of him, or happy what he did. I mean, if I don't say anything of those, here the reader gets to read like this. The family has that atmosphere all the time. And small kind gestures are part of that family. We can read it like that. Otherwise, such things can happen in the story as don't, like you said, don't do this again, you know, something like that. Or they pat him and praise him, you know, something like that. But it didn't happen, mainly because I think as parents, they also think that's how a child should be, and it's natural. So they have nothing to say. Or we can also read it like this. After the story ends, they're going to cross the road and go to the shop. Maybe they will talk then. Good boy, you did something. We don't know, right?
Yes.
They didn't say that in that instance. So yeah, that's how it is.
Again, wonderful story.
Thank you.
It makes me excited to go out and get my own copy too. So
sure. In fact, if you're really interested, I can share with you the whole collection. Whenever you have time, you can ask me and I will attach to you, so you get to read other stories, or at least one more story I can send, a Pick Up Feather Fan, which you might like. It's a different journalistic life. So yeah, that one you might like. So maybe I can share with you.
Thank you.
Yes, and very fantastic reading. I didn't expect such a nice reading from you, and thank you so much. And I was happy. Now I am very, very happy I did the right thing by giving you Beyond Borders, because I know how diverse your place is, right? So you can relate to it very well. Anything else we have? You can tell me. Do you have anything pointed you have written down?
I think my last point was it was more of just I know you speak a lot of different languages, and Connie also is picking up on languages. So I wanted to ask about your connection. Like, how did you learn so many languages, and what other ways do you think we can communicate through language, or less with words and more with actions? I know our meetings.
My father, he's no more. My father used to learn other languages very fast. He used to pick other languages, Indian languages, of course. He used to speak a few languages, and I think we have it in us. I speak English, my mother tongue, Tamil, Hindi. I can speak Malayalam. I can understand few other very well, few other Indian languages. And my son, again, now he speaks Chinese, Japanese, Korean, and Malay. So English and Tamil. So he knows so many languages. He loves to speak. So it's there in us, I think. And when I came to Singapore in my mid-20s, I'm here for 34 years now. But even in India, I lived in at least 13, 14 places by the time I was 24 when I came to Singapore. So that way, I was exposed to many cultures, many languages, many food culture also, right?
Yes.
So diversity was nothing new to me even before I came to Singapore. The diversity that I was exposed to in India was different, of course, from what I could taste here in the beginning. I mean, now this is my home and I know what it is. So, learning languages at young age or even middle age as an adult or even late, later age, I think is a very good way to challenge your brain. And it's proven by neuroscientists that such challenges can increase the neurons, or the in layman terms we can say the gray cells, right? So I think I believe in that, and I hope to learn another new language in the coming years. So how many languages do you speak?
Well, I am learning French. In my family, we speak about 4 languages.
Lovely.
So we're very much a very diverse language group too.
Super.
My mother family, they speak their language is Bali. My dad comes his tribe is Mamfe, and they have their own language, and then French and English, and then Pidgin English. So I'm again too used to hearing. Yeah. So when Connie was like, yeah, I picked up, that's the same way I learned Pidgin English. You know, my parents always spoke it at home, spoke it with other families. So as a child, I just picked it up and would just listen. Like, oh, I know what you're saying. So I know how I've had, again, like in America, I've had instances where people who came over, maybe all they spoke mainly was French. I would use my to my best abilities to help them, find a store or, go to an ATM. So I know how important it is, to feel comforted when you do find someone who can understand you or is willing to understand you to help. And I think that's such a beautiful thing, because language is one way that we can connect on such a small, instance, and, as technology is growing, it's so much easier to do it. So I was very captivated, about him picking up the language. I was like, yeah, that's how I learned too. So
you have to keep your ears, just like music. Ears are the for language also. Keep the ears open. Listen to them. Listen to others speak and try. I mean, my son always says, don't be shy. Don't be ashamed of getting ridiculed by those speakers because you're speaking wrongly. But if you don't open your mouth, just try, you won't get it right. You first you should make mistakes. Later you change it, the way you talk. So that much you must be courageous to make mistakes, right?
Yes.
So that's about learning languages. It was so nice talking to you, Ini. It was a good opportunity to meet like this, right? With some purpose, of course. But then again, even then, it's so nice to talk to you. So what's happening now, right now? What are you writing, Minnie?
So I'm working on my 5th fantasy book right now. It's I'm halfway done, almost halfway done with it.
Okay.
And so I'll be starting the editing process soon, which is the process I get most scared but yeah, I'm excited to start that. And I'm doing some more, as you see, I'm doing some more events soon in the summer, as it's coming, and going to more bookstores and talking to more people in my community. So
super. Fantastic. Lovely. So it's so endearing to watch at such a young age. You're doing so much marketing, the writing, conducting workshops, and of course, holding a job, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yes.
yes. So inspiring, happy, and lovely reading Beyond Borders. So here we are meeting virtually beyond borders.
Yes.
Aren't we? So we'll keep in touch, and I'll let you know if there are any other opportunities that you can participate in this way. You're part of the expanding community that I keep, expanding. I do whatever I can to expand the community, and you're part of it. And I will bring to you opportunities when they arise, right? So let's keep in touch.
Yes, thank
All the
you.
best for everything that you are doing. Bye bye. Thanks for reading and reviewing. Bye.
Thank you again for having me. Bye.
Yes. Hey. Hi, Shanas. So thanks for participating in this international webinar series, and welcome to Dangling Gandhi. And your short story is Beyond Borders, and I have a reason for giving you that, which I will talk later about. Now, let's hear what you have to tell about Beyond Borders.
Thank you so much for having me on your podcast, this webinar series. I'm super honored, and I'm super intrigued to hear why you gave me Beyond Borders. I'm really super intrigued. But okay, so Beyond Borders, you've got three main characters, right? You've got Anu, Somu, and Kani. And one of the main characters, believe it or not, I felt was Kani, the son, the 10-year-old son. And when I first read this book, it was kind of like my very first read. I read it twice, not the book, the short story. I read it twice, and I was like, really wanted to process it. My first thought, you're like memorable moments. What stuck with you is Kani, when his first word that he uttered was Poochie. Not Amma, not mother, but Poochie. I was like, that's a very intriguing, just the concept. I've never read that in any book before. So just the concept of children and what their interest is and what their first word is versus what we want children's first words to be, that was really interesting. And then the thing is, there was this fly that Connie was following, like outside the bus, and his eyes is following this fly, and this fly is also a character in the short story, which really, on the second read is when I got that the fly is a character. And the first read, I was like, yeah, right, like a fly is just going to fly in and fly exactly to this person and is going to go there. But then the second read is when I realized, no, the fly is a character. The fly represents how we as people, it represents a journey in itself, where the fly is also going from one location to another. Like, we think we're the only travelers, but so is the fly. So that was one of the interesting things. The other really interesting thing is about the melting pot of different people and different cultures and where they're going and how people perceive them. I think there was a line in the book, I should have written it down, but something about how Somu was upset about things said at his work, about how you guys are just used to build this up, and you're not a person, you're a thing. And I'm in America, and there's a lot of racism here, and there's Black Lives Matter, and you know, America is built on the backs of slaves, and slaves were not people. They were things, they were objects, they were owned, and then America's built on that, and even till today there is just so much injustice going on. So there was a little bit of tie-in with that, and I felt America, I found it really, the intriguing thing is the Chinese gentleman grabbing the wrong bag, and now he has this bag of crabs. He's like, I gotta go get my bag of crabs, and the guy's like, no, you gotta get down. And I'm just kind of like, okay, where is this going? You know what? You know, it's everything is representative of people's journey, really, of all the things we leave behind, the things we carry with us, what we think we need, you know, things we mistakenly take with us that we really don't need to carry. And you know, it's a great allegory for a crab, because it's a crab. I mean, I mean, what can I say? I mean, crab, it's crabby, it bites people. It's like, why do you need a crab other than if you're eating? So the allegory of us picking up accidentally things that don't serve us and can potentially hurt is really great. The other element is education, I thought, in this short story. And when I say education, I mean for Anu and Somu to educate their child about, I guess, other cultures, other people, and how they live. Because my understanding is they don't go on the bus, and they've never been on the bus before. Their car broke down, and they were almost like, we don't have to go on this. We could wait for a week to go shopping till the car gets fixed. Why do we even have to get up on this bus? But there was that element of, well, Connie hasn't, and let him learn. And what was even intriguing about the education element of it is at the end, the parents recognize that, wait, we're trying to teach him.
Yeah.
But he already knows. He already knew the language. He already knew the language. He already understood kindness from that young age. And the very end, he's asking his parents for money to offer the Bangladeshi, because he understood the predicament that Bangladeshi passenger was in when they got to their stop. So there's just so many beautiful elements in the short story. I'll be very honest. The first time I read it, it just went right through. I was like, what is this story? It's just somebody getting on a bus and getting off a bus. Like literally the first time I read it, that's it. I apologize, but I had no appreciation the first time.
Yeah.
This is okay. I'm like, Jayanthi, why? It's a short story. It's like, that's right? Really? And then the second time you read it, there are so many layers, and it just kind of filters through. And I was like, wow, I really like that. So that was good. There was, oh man, there was one typo.
Yes.
It was, where is it? Where is my typo? I wrote it down and I don't have it right now. It was right, gosh, where did I write it? I'm sorry, there is a typo in it, by the way.
Okay.
And then there was one spot where I think Connie uses the word rankish or rankling or something. It was a word that he used. And I personally was like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I don't know what it means. How does a 10-year-old know this English? So I just wanted, you know, there was a couple of spots there. But other than that, yeah, that's my review. I think people really need to sit with the story to really grasp the full meaning and depth of the story. And that's what I have for you.
Oh, great. Thanks for reading it so well. Yes, most of my writings, the readers can't get it the first time. They have to reread it. And those who are familiar with my writing style, they will know this. Otherwise, yes, first time they have to get back to this text again after so because it's mostly layered. So on the surface, it may sound so simple. And this story, especially, is too simple on the surface, like any bus journey. And um, I gave you this story mainly because you're from a multicultural, diverse background, as well as living in a city or a state where you can see many cultures, right? So I thought such a person to read would be ideal. Not just that, this short story is speaking of immigrants. Where else can more immigrants be found than America? USA, right? As for Singapore, Singapore has been built to whatever it is today by the migrant workers. And even today, our country depends more on migrant workers. But we've never had, as in any history of slavery and all, that is so different from the US. And yes, yeah, the characters, 10-year-old, that is the main character. And when we are going through the journey, when we are actually seeing what we are seeing, this child is seeing what no one is seeing. And that innocence and that spontaneity is what the story is about. We are drawing a parallel. How preconceived notions, with all preconceived notions, the adults, they are conditioned, and they are only looking, even the parents, they are only looking about, a car or the bus, or a workplace politics they are talking about, and they are talking about the sari they purchased and how she looks good and all that, whatever anyone would do. But this child, with all innocence, yet to be conditioned in life, right? He sees the nuances, the finer human elements of things, as well as he's able to connect with an insect. To be able to connect with an insect itself shows how unconditioned he is, right? And yes, only thing I took from my own life is my elder son. He is like that. He is an insect lover. He was the one, he didn't tell Amma first, he told Pooji. So only that I took from there. Other things are, of course, from whatever I have seen in Singapore. As for crabs, Chinese, they buy live crabs most of the times and they cook. So therefore, and he got mixed up in the wet market. The bags are mixed up. Like you, but the way you read that, in the sense, in a journey, we take what is not for us. I mean, the way you read that is unexpected, which I didn't intend. And that happens. It has happened many times in my writing. So connect with the insect, and you saw the fly as a character, and I think that's the best reading. And a few have read when the book came. A few read like that, and you're right yet again. And when you said that, I felt very happy. You saw the fly as a character, because it's also journeying from the front of the bus to back towards Kani. And yes, the culture of the people, the diverse, so many types of people. In a bus, of course, it's a public transport. You will find many different people, different kinds of people, and definitely each one is different from the other. And so educating the child, in the sense, she says he has to see all sides of the world. We cannot protectively take him by car, just bringing. So they want to show the outside world. Like you said, in the end, they find out that he has learned their language, and he knows the language, that he was able to know that migrant workers not having money to top up his travel card. and he understood. And yes, a typo, right? Yes, typo must have been there. Yes, I understand. And the typo was, what was that? Taking into, typo is taking a closer look, not talking. Yeah, there was an extra L, right? Well, I will take note of that. I will change in my, and Beyond Borders, the title by itself says that it's a small island, Singapore, where people from various backgrounds are coming and living here. So they are from different countries which have borders, but here the life is beyond those borders. They are, confluencing here. So that's how the story is supposed to be conveyed, right, to the reader. Your reading, I felt, is damn, what to say, for me, it makes me happy. Any author, when the reader is able to read what she has intended and beyond, right, and which you have done. Like, for example, you said educating the child. In the East, the people, the parents are more anxious about these things, as in what the child learns or what the child should be. Of course, I think even in the West, any parent, young parent, would have that. And we want, as a parent, we want to expose the child to many things, yes, but we often fail to realize that the child is already exposed to things that his heart or his mind goes to, right? Here, this child, he knows more than any adult would know, as regarding the insect, the species, the subspecies, all the names. He knows all that, because we know, even without the author saying, we know that the child is reading on him, reading, extended reading is what he's doing. So he's able to, and naturally he also looks for those insects since he was a child. And learning the language and knowing what he's lacking, that man, migrant worker, and in the end he wants to get some money from his father, and he wants to even that much sensitive that he doesn't want to stand another second near that man. He knows he will feel embarrassed because he's giving him money. Even the giving money, he's not doing it very blatantly. He's secretly thrusting it and running away to his father. And he pulls them both so that they don't look back. That much sensitive the child is. And I have seen people, children, even my own sons, they have been at times more, unbelievably wise. And we learn from the child, right? And that's the moment and the last part. And in the end, he gets, oh, eureka, this insect belongs to that. He gets that, and he's so happy only for that discovery, rather than whatever he did, those small things. So that's this innocence and unconditioned mind. So nice that you read it so well. Do you have any more? We have time, so we can talk more if you have anything else, Shahnas, about Beyond Borders.
I didn't talk about the title.
Please.
Beyond Borders. And for me, the title represents that we as a human species create borders, and we create demarcations and lines. And we say, this is China, this is India, this is Pakistan, this is America, this is France. We're just very nations and tribes and very border type of people. But ultimately, we're all human beings. And so the title of Beyond Borders was very apt, considering you're in a country with so many immigrants. And once you get into the immigrant mentality is when you recognize that borders are so man-made that you don't need this. We need to go beyond borders. You know, we're always talking about, well, you got to think outside the box. Well, we got to think beyond borders, really. Like, because, you know, people ask me, like, I'm in America, people ask me, where are you from? And that's like the hardest question for me to answer. Because I look at them and I'm going, ah. They're like, where are you from? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, what? And I'm like, okay, do you want to know where I was born? Where I did my middle school? Where I did high school? Where I did college? Where I did graduate school? Like, I mean, like, because I was born in India. And then I studied in Dubai for 6 years. I was in Dubai for 6 years. And then I came to America. And in America, I switched colleges and I was in a different state. So it's like when someone asks me, where are you from? And now my answer is, listen, I consider myself a citizen of the world.
Super. Yes, that's my sentiment.
That's my answer now, because that is being beyond borders. I don't think I would be a citizen of the world if I lived in India all my life.
Yes.
Honestly, I think I will, whether I like it or not, I think I will fall prey to judgment.
Yes.
And believing that I'm an Indian and India stands for this, and I will probably be that way. I'll probably hate Pakistan, and Pakistan will hate me, and maybe we hate Bangladesh. I don't know. Who are we supposed to hate and who are we supposed to like? I don't know. You know, it's just like, I'm like, dude, just give me the list of people I'm supposed to like and hate. I don't have all this rule book. You know, but if I lived that life, unfortunately or fortunately, I may be that. Like, there are people, unfortunately, in America. I say unfortunately because I know people who haven't traveled 50 miles of their home.
Oh my God.
50 miles of their home. That's about, what is it? 2.2 kilometers is a mile, I think. So 50 times 2.2 is about, what, 150? About, I don't know, what, my math is bad, 150.
That's okay.
People. But you see what I'm saying? They haven't traveled, let's say 200 kilometers. They have not traveled past 200 kilometers from their homes.
Yeah.
Even within the United States.
Fine.
You know, like we were just talking before, you know, we started about, oh, I just went to California. I was hiking in the redwood forest. To be able to visually see that, again, beyond borders, right?
Yes, yes.
What makes the California redwoods theirs, not mine? It's not yours, Jayanthi. You're from Singapore. Sorry, you're not included. What makes that? So when you have a book that says beyond borders, we talk about the borders we designate and we as human beings want to experience the world. I know you've shown it in really a bus ride and looking at things and people getting together, but ultimately in a very global way of looking at it. We're all one species and we're all going in this one ride of life together.
Super.
And that's, you know, so Beyond Borders is a great title.
Thank you. And yes, I was born in India, and till my mid-20s, I was in India. Now I'm here in Singapore for 34 years now. So now, within, say, about 12 years of my schooling, 12 plus 3 years of the kindergarten, 15 years, only school. Okay? 15 years of schoolings, I was in 13 places. My father was a central government engineer. He used to be transferred all over India. So I saw many states. Even as a child, I saw diversity within India, as you can understand. The languages, the food, the way they speak, the way they see life, the way they dress, the way they sing, dance. So I saw diversity as a growing child. And here, when I'm here in Singapore, which is it's so much synonymous to diverse city, no? But it's a metropolitan first world country, you can say, but it has people from all over the world, all over the world. And I think it's the same in London, New York, and many cities in the US. So I wanted this story to be read by a person who can really relate to the journey or the diversity, those things. So I chose this story for you, Shanas. And thanks for being part of this webinar series. And let's stay in touch. Good luck. Thanks for reading so well.
Thank you so much for having me. Just super, super humbled and honored that you called me. So thank you.
Thank you.